The outer doors have been breached. The scraping sound echoes through the ice, so I always know. It doesn't happen often anymore. I had disciples make them harder to open, so only the more able-bodied adventurers could make it through. Too much riff-raff has arrived, and it's become a problem. Some of them I allow to join my people. Some I dispense of in unpleasant ways, and a few I send back down the mountain with their desires granted. I have confidence they will never tell anyone what they saw here, but I know they will radiate just that energy which their newfound hope in their future gives them. Others will notice and be drawn to me by their own miserable desires to quick fix something they are unable to fathom a solution for themselves. Pathetic. But I've been attracting the wrong kind. A few able ones have made it up here and I've given them the honor of joining my cause, but too many are weak, useless, and nothing but a burden. They have met their end as such. My trap was set a while ago, and maybe today will be the day my intended prey makes it here. There are several who would benefit me, but I'm hoping for the green one. Whoever breached the doors today must be strong in both will and body. But now he, I hope it's a he, will be standing in front of the ice statues, marveling in their exquisite detail and trying to piece together the events that have gone on before this moment. The small hall of the Ice Masters is a pretty veil to hide what really awaits him. I look forward to meeting him soon. If it is hope, I hope it is, my trap will snap, and I can finally embark on the next phase of my plan. When a king is ejected from his rule, he can either wither away in exile, reclaim his domain, or take it back by force. I aim to take back what was once mine and more. That is what I want for myself. That is the only wish of the Wishmaster.
This is interesting and all, but it isn't really why I came here.
Lloyd had to abandon his thoughts and turn to the green-scaled serpent by his side. I didn't expect this either, Clancy, but you gotta admit it is pretty cool. I was here once before, at the Hanging Temple I mean, but we had a different purpose and we never went inside.
You went up the mountains before? Why? How? It was so hard, and steep and snowy.
I was with friends, and we had a flying ship and some pretty cool mechs. Plus, Cole was a ghost at the time, and he could pull off some pretty neat tricks. Lloyd couldn't help but be amused by the utter bewilderment which was spread across Clancy's face.
He was a ghost?
He stuttered. I'll tell you about it sometime. Lloyd realized that though Clancy had seen Cole on the Dark Island, he may not have understood exactly what his green glowing adversary would have been. He felt bad about brushing off such a relevant question, but there were more urgent matters to attend to. He continued, "Let's continue onward. These statues are a good omen. I'm sure we'll find what we're looking for if we keep our focus and don't get distracted." Maybe that would shut Clancy up for a little while. While Lloyd did appreciate the company, he did want to get to the bottom of this quickly, and secretly he was still worried about this whole endeavor, and shame. As much as he wanted this, he felt selfish for coming here. The duo pushed on. They briefly studied each statue, and there were dozens. Lloyd had been in enough locations of legend, and seen enough swashbuckling Fritz Donegan adventure films, to know that there could be pressure pads or handles hidden anywhere. People who built places like this seem to have a penchant for theatrics. It's like one of those games Jay and Cole always play. There's never been a waterfall without a hidden cave behind it, or an altar which couldn't be pushed to the side to reveal a hidden staircase. Lloyd chuckled to himself. Apparently game designers aren't that much different from architects of mystic temples. As much as they're built to keep intruders out, they don't want to let intruders down either. It's just good form to make it interesting rather than impossible. Lloyd made a mental note. The next time he found himself blocked by a brick wall, he would just press each and every brick. And he wouldn't be surprised if the wall turned out to be a hologram either. Lloyd had lost count of how many statues they had passed when they finally reached the end of the room. They must have walked quite a way into the mountain at this point. Before them were another pair of doors. Again, the symbol of the Ice Masters adorned it, but there was a different welcoming quality to this one. With great expectation, Lloyd pushed it open. This might have just been the biggest room Lloyd had ever seen. It was like the entire inside of the mountain had been carved away, or perhaps the mountain itself had been created to enclose this huge area. Ice pillars shot hundreds of feet up into the air, and hundreds of feet below. Ice bridges and catwalks crossed back and forth in an immaculate pattern resembling the endlessly chaotic yet perfectly symmetric and logical construction of a snowflake. Light bounced from one surface to the next, and reflections and refractions seemed to play a cheerful game of cat and mouse as they traveled from one end of the room to the other in the blink of an eye. But one thing was the sheer grandness of the room. Lloyd shook his head. Room was clearly not the word to describe this place. Hall didn't do it justice either. He gave up. This simply defied words, but one thing was a spectacle, another was the sound. Strange and wonderful music must have played impossibly loud and rang out, but it was the most calming he had ever heard. And it seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. It sounded like the wailing winds from outside played 1,000 organ pipes and 1,000,000 ice shards reverberated in perfect unison. Lloyd knew that the beauty of this music would haunt him to the end of his days. And there were people here. Lloyd could see at least a dozen people at any time. People were walking back and forth across the catwalks, just going about their business. "Welcome, travelers. I'm Yana. I'm happy to meet you." Lloyd was startled as the smooth voice cut through the music with ease. A beautiful woman emerged from inside an ice castle alcove and bowed gently. She wore simple clothes, and the warmth of her breath danced in intricate patterns as it met the cold air. Lloyd didn't speak. He was captivated by her beauty, and the whole situation was just overwhelming. The woman spoke again. "You must be so proud to have made it up the mountain. Your will must be as strong as your desires for happiness in your future." She took measure of Clancy, but her gaze drifted back to Lloyd. There was an eerie calm to her eyes. Lloyd's own eyes were special. As his powers had grown, they had become a mirror which reflected his powers, but the woman's eyes were different. Lloyd couldn't quite put his finger on it, but what he saw felt opposite, a lack of power. Nevertheless, he stated why they were there. "We're here to see the Wishmaster. Could you take us to him?"